Welcome to the Daily History Podcast, where we unravel the tapestries of the past to uncover the stories that shaped our world. Today, we transport you back to 1453 for a pivotal moment that forever changed the course of history, the fall of Constantinople. In the effervescent wake of the early Middle Ages, known now as its Golden Age, the Byzantine Empire shone with unmatched luster, reaching a pinnacle of cultural and political influence under the rule of Emperor Justinian. His reign, spanning from 527 to 565 AD, witnessed transformative changes, fostering an era marked by grand architectural feats, the codification of Roman laws in the Corpus Juris Civilis, and a resurgence in arts and learning. Set like a gem between the turquoise waters of the Golden Horn and the Sea of Marmara, Constantinople, the empire's radiant capital, claimed an unrivaled strategic position. This opulent city, bridging the continents of Europe and Asia, served not just as the heart of empire's bountiful commerce, but as the gateway between East and West, controlling the bustling trade routes and asserting military dominance over both land and sea. Yet, beneath the gilded surfaces, tensions simmered. As the Byzantine Empire reached dizzying heights, the tectonic plates of power gradually began to shift, setting the stage for future conflicts. To the east, new rivals rose, as did the hunger of ascendant powers for the wealth and influence that Constantinople had long monopolized. In the west, former Roman territories fragmented, heralding an era of uncertainty where alliances and enmities were ever changing. These inherent tensions would one day mark the canvas of history with the riveting tales of conquests and the clamor for dominion. In the waning twilight of the 13th century, a force began to rise in the small northwestern Anatolian region of Bithynia, an empire that would not just expand its borders, but also stretch its influence across the ages. This was the birth of the Ottoman Empire, an enduring legacy founded by the tenacious Osman I. His impressive leadership, alongside his successor's vision, propelled this nascent state from obscurity into a burgeoning power. Throughout the 14th and early 15th centuries, the Ottoman state continued its unprecedented expansion under a line of exceptional leaders. Under the rule of Murad I and Bayezid I, the frontiers of the empire were pushed beyond the Anatolian peninsula, subjugating Balkan territories. By this period, the empire made effective use of a well-organized military structure and sophisticated administrative systems, which became cornerstones of their sustained expansion. Meanwhile, a shadow had quietly begun to loom over the Byzantine Empire, a silent testament to its dimming glory. Struck by internal strife, threats from all sides, and an economy in shambles, Constantinople was a mere shadow of its former self. A stark contrast to the Ottomans' ascendancy, the Byzantine realm was shrinking, its governance fragmenting amidst the onslaught of civil wars and external pressures. This decline, painfully evident in the 14th century, set the stage for what would become an inevitable collision of fates with the empire on the rise. As the 15th century dawned, it was becoming increasingly apparent that the fate of Constantinople was hanging by a thread. With the crowning of Sultan Mehmed II, otherwise known as Mehmed the Conqueror, the Ottomans found themselves led by a man whose aspirations knew no bounds, harboring ambitions that would alter the known world. This ambition set the stage for an epic confrontation, foreshadowing the epoch-defining clash that would thrust the entire region into a new era, the looming conflict that would be known as the Fall of Constantinople. As the 15th century reached its midpoint, Emperor Constantine V found himself inheriting not the opulent city of his forebears, but a weakened and isolated outpost of what was once a vast empire. The Byzantine territories had shrunk severely, and economic troubles were rampant. The once thriving trade routes that flowed through Constantinople were being diverted as rivals sought to bypass the city. The empire faced threats from all sides, not to mention internal strife and a depleted population, making any form of robust defense a significant challenge. Across the narrowing strait, Sultan Mehmed II, young and ambitious, ascended to the Ottoman throne in 1451. His vision was grand and clear, the conquest of Constantinople, a jewel of the world that eluded his predecessors. Passion fueled by ambition, Mehmed began to amass an army of considerable might and ingenuity. His preparations were methodical, seeing the construction of a fortress on the European side of the Bosphorus, which he named Rumeli Hisara, thereby tightening his grip on the strait and showcasing an impressive display of military might to the Byzantines. In this climate of tension, the political stage was rife with alliances and betrayals. Constantine V sought aid from his Western counterparts, but the schism between the Catholic and Orthodox churches complicated these pleas. The Western powers were hesitant, their aid insufficient. The military tactic employed by Mehmed reflected the cold precision of chess, a game of kings. He deployed his navy, moving it in such an astonishing feat that it bypassed the chain blocking the entrance to the Golden Horn. This maneuver signaled to the city's inhabitants and defenders that their days, barricaded behind the legendary walls of Theodosius, might be numbered. As the Ottoman forces made their preparations, the defenders of Constantinople used the time to fortify their walls and secure whatever support they could muster. Every diplomatic endeavor, every repaired breach in the wall, and every gathered ally were but flickers of hope against the impending might of Mehmed's force. The stage was set, the players in place, and the final act of an age-old struggle between two powers was about to commence. As dawn broke over the horizon, the formidable walls of Constantinople loomed, a robust symbol of Byzantine resistance that had withstood numerous sieges throughout a millennium. These massive fortifications, some reaching up to 60 feet tall and equally as thick, encompassed the city in a protective embrace, bolstered by towers and battlements strategically designed for defense. On the opposite side, Sultan Mehmed II surveyed his Ottoman army, an infantry of unprecedented size and determination stretching as far as the eye could see. The strength of his forces was anchored not only in numbers, but in the diverse and specialized troops, including the elite janissaries, fearless in the face of battle. But amongst the many weapons of war, it was the cannon that set this siege apart, a formidable Turkish artillery crafted by the Hungarian engineer Orban. The cannons, particularly the Great Bombard, capable of hurling immense stone balls over a mile, were technological marvels of the time and posed an unprecedented threat to Constantinople's walls. Despite this, the city's defenders, led by Emperor Constantine V, demonstrated unparalleled resilience. The Byzantines utilized every known counter-siege tactic. They repaired walls, reinforced vulnerable sections, and countered the Ottoman cannons with their own. Even the sea, which had guarded the city's flanks, bristled with chains to block enemy ships from the Golden Horn. Initial volleys from the Ottoman cannons tore through the air, their sound a harbinger of destruction. Yet, they faced setbacks. A lack of precision, long reload times, and the undying spirit of the defenders, who tirelessly worked to mend the breaches. In those early days, the might of Constantinople's walls and the determination of its people combined to withstand the Ottoman siege, leaving Sultan Mehmed II facing the complexities of warfare and the staunch heart of a city refusing to succumb. As dawn broke on the 29th of May, 1453, the air was thick with tension, and the fateful day for the Byzantine Empire had arrived. The final assault was launched. A sea of Ottoman forces, swelling with determination, surrounded the once impervious walls of Constantinople. Sultan Mehmed II eyed the prize before him, with a fierce resolve to capture the city that had eluded so many before him. The sizable cannons, previously thought of as mere curiosities of warfare, roared into life, shaking the very foundation of the ancient city. Within the walls, the beleaguered defenders mustered every ounce of courage they possessed. At the helm stood Emperor Constantine V, whose name would become synonymous with the last stand of an empire. Adorned not with luxurious garbs, but with the armor and spirit of a warrior, he inspired his men, who knew deep inside that they were about to partake in a battle that was more than flesh and metal. They were fighting for the soul of their civilization. As the invaders exploited weakened sections of the wall, the fighting grew fierce and hand to hand, with both sides knowing the gravity of the city they were vying for. Constantinople, which had for centuries been a beacon of Christian power in the face of mounting Islamic forces, was now the setting for a climax of an age-old struggle. And as the walls finally were breached, the city's fall became an inevitability. The emperor, his fate unknown to history, is said to have fallen fighting amongst his men, his body never to be identified, symbolizing perhaps the indiscriminate end of the Byzantine resistance. And as the Ottoman soldiers claimed the city, the hallowed Hagia Sophia, the jewel of the Byzantine spiritual and cultural life, was converted into a mosque, signifying not just a change of power, but a profound transformation that echoed across continents. It was not just a fort that had fallen, but an entire epoch. The Byzantine Empire, the last remnant of the Roman Empire, had come to an end after nearly a millennium of existence, cleaving history into the medieval and the modern. The bells of Hagia Sophia, which had once called the faithful to prayer, now tolled for the demise of an era as the new age of the Ottoman Empire dawned, reshaping the world in ways that would be felt for centuries to come. As the dust settled upon the fall of the mighty city of Constantinople in 1453, an intricate tapestry of global power dynamics began to unravel. Europe, ensconced in its medieval structures, faced an existential threat as the Ottoman Empire's triumph sent shockwaves across the continent. The balance of power had shifted, prompting a realignment of political alliances and inspiring a feverish reinforcement of fortifications in cities far and wide, echoing the fear of a progressing Ottoman force. The cultural ramifications of the Ottoman victory were profound and far-reaching. The fall of Constantinople acted as both a repository and a conduit for the ancient knowledge of the Greek and Roman worlds. As scholars fled the besieged city, they carried with them invaluable manuscripts and texts, dispersing this treasure trove of ancient wisdom across Europe. This influx of knowledge would eventually fuel the burgeoning flames of the Renaissance, igniting a fervor for humanism, arts, and sciences. Moreover, the Ottoman Empire itself became a melting pot of cultures and religions, fostering a unique and rich tradition that seeped into the fabric of conquered lands. Technology, too, bore witness to a remarkable transition. The use of massive cannons by the Ottoman army to breach Constantinople's fabled walls signified a turning point in siege warfare, marking the obsolescence of traditional fortifications and prompting a military revolution that would spread throughout Europe. Sultan Mehmed's visionary leadership in leveraging gunpowder technology set a precedent which would define the nature of conflict in the centuries to follow, altering the very manner in which wars were waged. As we reflect on this pivotal moment, we witness the gradual erosion of medieval institutions and the birth of the modern nation-state. The Ottoman Empire's ascent signaled not only a shift in territorial borders, but also a transformation in the global mindset. The fall of Constantinople acted as a catalyst for an era that would see the West seek new trade routes, ultimately leading to the Age of Exploration and the expansion into the New World. This was a time of both tumultuous change and remarkable innovation, a period where the known world expanded beyond the horizons of the old, propelling us into the modern age we are familiar with today. Thank you for journeying through history with us on the Daily History Podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode on the fall of Constantinople, don't forget to subscribe. We'd love to hear your thoughts and questions in the comments below. Your suggestion might just be our next featured episode. The idea with the most likes will receive special consideration for future content. Your engagement means the world to us. Until next time, keep wondering about the history that shapes our lives today.